So, one of the biggest Montreal Canadiens related topics over the past few days has been Edmonton Oilers franchise generational centerman Connor McDavid. It was announced by Marc-Olivier Beaudoin, who of course does stuff for BPM Sports Talk Radio in Quebec, that apparently, in the event Connor McDavid wants to leave the Oilers, the Montreal Canadiens would be on his very short list of a few teams where he would agree to be traded to, or to sign with, if he reaches UFA status on July 1st, 2028. This tweet, posted 3 days ago, garnered a lot of attention, and you started seeing Montreal Canadiens fans going out there and posting about their trade ideas, their trade packages. Could Connor McDavid become a Hab? What's the price and what's the dollar amount if he ends up sticking around long term? We did make a video about this, the Montreal Canadiens McDavid angle, as well as the New York Rangers McDavid angle. I honestly do think that between those two teams, if we're just labeling each one of them as potential destinations, Montreal makes a lot more sense for McDavid, does it not? Connor can stay in a Canadian market, he can go over to a team that is younger than New York, and that is, I'm gonna say quite frankly, better than New York. And I don't know about you, but I'd honestly feel much more empowered and motivated to play for a team that is captained by Nick Suzuki rather than a team that is captained by JT Miller, but that's just me personally. Connor McDavid, of course, he's a captain in his own right. He had scored 138 points this year. It's all good at Applewood. He's doing his thing, right? Well, the reason we are making this video is because we are following up on the McDavid Montreal angle. Because there was a post made on TVA Sports.ca that dives into everything with the truth on McDavid. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description to this post made on TVA Sports.ca. I had to switch over to a new window because, unfortunately, for whatever reason, the TVA Sports website does not seem to work on my normal browser. If I go over to it here, it says that I have an ad blocker enabled, which is generally true, but I do have it disabled on TVA Sports.ca. It's very quick to activate the little blockage over here, so the best we can do is to switch gears and actually showcase another page on an incognito window. It's why you're seeing the ads. Take a look at this article posted on TVA Sports. No, Connor McDavid is not house hunting in Montreal. This was originally a French piece published by the QMI agency 2 days ago, and the entire thing was translated to English via the Google machine, and we have Renaud Lavoie ultimately providing us the scoop. Link in the description of this article if you want to read it yourself. Rumors that Connor McDavid was getting closer to the Canadiens have surfaced in recent days, and Renaud Lavoie wanted to set the record straight. The captain of the Oilers, who was said to be looking for a new team due to his longtime team's playoff failures, reportedly visited houses in the area during the Formula One Grand Prix weekend in Montreal. Now, I just gotta say, this is technically not the same as what we were talking about from Marc-Olivier Beaudoin's tweet, right? I mean, apparently it said, courtesy of the original tweet, that McDavid was visiting some neighborhoods, but I don't think there was any implication that was like, oh, he's actually house hunting. He's over here in Brossard and Westmount because he's generally looking for a new place to buy. That's not really what's implied by this, but it does say that he took the opportunity to visit certain neighborhoods, so you can interpret the tweet however it is you want to interpret it. But the article goes out there and continues, "These are just rumors," said Renaud Lavoie's TVA Sports insider on JIC on Monday. Connor McDavid was not at the Grand Prix in Montreal. He did not do any house shopping. His wife was there. She was here for an event to which he had been invited. Period, Lavoie said. The journalist had, however, spoken with an influential agent in September. This agent confided that there weren't 150 places in the National Hockey League where McDavid could win the Stanley Cup, his ultimate goal. There was a greater chance of seeing number 97 in Montreal than Sidney Crosby. "We'll take it with a grain of salt," said Renaud Lavoie. "We can safely say the following. If McDavid ever gets fed up, where will he go? To a team that has no chance of winning the Stanley Cup? Or to a team that has a very good chance of doing so? Montreal is becoming a preferred destination in a way. That would be nice, yes, but there is still a long way to go." McDavid, who had a 138-point season in 25-26, will not become a free agent until the summer of 2028. So this is a really interesting way to conclude this article, is it not? An agent specifically saying that Connor McDavid, he's not just going to go anywhere. He's not just going to go to whoever pays him the most money or pays the Oilers the highest trade package, whatever. And this note, talking about how there's a greater chance of seeing Connor McDavid in Montreal than Sidney Crosby, that's a pretty big thing too, is it not? I mean, we were talking all this talk about Sidney Crosby potentially being a Montreal Canadien to be, and the idea of him coming over to the organization that his dad was once a part of. Troy Crosby, who was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens many decades ago, Sid the Kid going back over to the team that he grew up cheering for after his time in Pittsburgh comes to an end. Obviously, Sidney Crosby's 38 years old and his contract goes on till the end of 2027, so he's heading towards the last few years of his career anyway. But I don't think anybody's going out there and necessarily doubting what Sidney Crosby is capable of today, tomorrow, or even next year. Sidney Crosby seems to have been fully focused on the Penguins, and with Kyle Dubas re-signing Evgeny Malkin earlier this offseason, it solidifies everything we had believed about this team from the playoffs until the summer. The Penguins want to remain competitive, and they have no issues keeping their top stars around as long as possible. So to hear that apparently Connor McDavid has a higher chance of coming to Montreal than Sidney Crosby, a name that 1 year ago we were talking oodles and oodles about in regards to his potential Canadian status, that's a pretty big eye-opener, isn't it? At the end of the day, though, taking a look at some of the scoops that supposedly McDavid was watching the Grand Prix, he was visiting neighborhoods, whatever, to hear that that was technically wrong is a pretty unfortunate update. I mean, I guess his wife was in Montreal, right? I mean, does that really amount to anything? Is she going to be the one house shopping and scouting out potential landing locations for her husband who wants to win a Stanley Cup? Just saying, Connor. The Montreal Canadiens are going to give you a pretty good chance at winning the Stanley Cup if you decide to join onto this team. Connor McDavid and Nick Suzuki, book it. A beautiful 1-2 center pairing down the middle. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Connor McDavid Montreal Canadiens update? How do you feel about the Renaud Lavoie spoiler on the other article saying that no, McDavid ain't house hunting, he's not actually here, and whether or not he actually comes to a team like Montreal remains to be seen. Is there more than meets the eye in this Connor McJesus situation? Article's going to be linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.